So I've described this show as the saga of Hollywood virtue signaling for fame and fortune. Virtue signaling is such a common aspect of Hollywood these days. That's why everybody's against Trump. You know, at one time they loved Trump. Hollywood was all about Trump. Trump made them tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars with his shows. You know, WWE, The Apprentice. I mean, all of the different shows that he's done, and all the money he's put into Hollywood, and all the campaigns he's funded, even Hillary and Bill's campaigns. But now it's, virtue signaling, and it's driven by nefarious forces in the background. This isn't even a conspiracy theory anymore. This is a conspiracy fact. Because you've got George Soros. He has the Media Matters Corporation, and a bunch of others. What is that? The Open Societies Project, which has subsets of these companies and groups and activist causes, ranging to about 500 of them, and he's put $15 billion into them recently. This is a former Nazi from World War II, an actual Nazi that actually used to go around confiscating goods and property from Jews that were going to the gas chambers, and he has no regrets over it. You can hear him in an interview with 60 Minutes. He has no regrets over it. This is the liberal hero, just like Robert Byrd was Hillary's mentor. The guy was a former KKK member. Now this Governor Northam in Virginia, used to wear blackface and, go to parties with a fellow dressed as a KKK member. This is the new left. I mean, this is the old left too. The old left started the KKK. This is the same ones. Well, they try to use race to their advantage. They use race so much and gender now and sexual persuasion that, it's just, it's like their new tactic. It's still using race like they've always used race. When they started the KKK, it was all about race. It's still about race. There's not really a whole lot of difference, except for they've just changed the contrast and the U a little bit. Now it's race, gender, and sexual persuasion. Well, with this Jussie Smollett thing, this really defines our new generation, whatever they call it now, Generation Z, or I don't even know where we're at now. One of these latest generations. I think we're beyond millennial. I think we're in Generation Z now. And these folks, at every turn are virtue signaling. They're trying to virtue signal their way into fame and fortune. Let me just show you Jussie Smollett before he went and hired these Nigerian colleagues of his. I guess they worked on the same show, this Empire show. I have still never seen the show. But I did pull up one of his videos. It's called Hurt People, which is why I named this segment that. It's it's pathetic. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just absolutely pathetic. So let me just focus in here a little bit. I'm just going to play you a little bit. Actually, yeah, I'm going to play you this, and I'm going to follow up with something about his Empire show. See that? Virtue signaling. This is his new song. This is his music career. This is from April 17th, 2018. And that sign on the wall that said whites only. I mean, he's just hamming this whole thing up. And they're always trying to portray Donald Trump as racist. I mean, this guy's won awards from Jesse Jackson and, been nominated by the NAACP as being this, friend of black people or whatever. But the new narrative now is, basically because the capitalist side of society has always been demonized, and now Trump embodies that, especially as president. And the socialists who want free handouts and who want reparations and all kinds of weird benefits, now they've got to paint Trump as a poster child of racism. So, since he's been president, they've had all these different fake hate crimes. You can go to fakehatecrimes.org and see all of these. I mean, they're just so frequent. It's hard to keep up with. They've counted 349 of these fake hate crimes at fakehatecrimes.org. I'm going to get back to this one, my website, Veracity Life, a little bit later. But I wanted to show you this, which is interesting. Why Jussie Smollett said F no to his Empire character having a white boyfriend. This was sometime last year. I can't remember. I saw the date on it. It was, I think, July of last year that this this was released, that he didn't want a white boyfriend. And he says, as Jamal Lyon on Fox's Empire, Jussie Smollett portrays one of the primetime television's most prominent gay characters of color. The cultural significance of the role isn't lost on the actor-singer who came out publicly as gay in 2015, appearing on Sirius XM's The Clay Kane Show Wednesday. He explained why he insisted Jamal's love interest on Empire be a man of color too. There was talk about Jamal having a white boyfriend, Smollett recalled, and I said, F no. Not for any reason, except for we have a responsibility, and we have such a beautiful opportunity to show two black men in a relationship together, in a healthy relationship. So, I mean, again, race. He's being discriminatory against whites. You know, it's always about color. It's not about equality anymore. It's just about pushing the color, gender, and sexual persuasion narrative. I have way too many people in my life like this. You know, unfortunately, I mean, growing up in a Mormon family, I had very few Mormons or family members that were conservative or Republican. I'm one of few. I think there might be four. I think my two cousins and maybe my grandma abusing uncle. I think he might be Republican, and I don't talk to him. He's a shithead, so I don't really know his points of view, but pretty sure he's a Republican. But you know, probably 80 of the members I've met in my family are Democrats. So, you know, when I hear this kind of stuff, like on January 31st is when I heard about this Jussie Smollett attack, this MAGA attack or whatever, and I immediately said, this is fake. And you can see I've got multiple media releases on both YouTube and Twitter, you know, social media, where I've commented on this and said, this is fake. There is no way. I had a lot of debate with friends and, you know, curious minds. We talked about this. And they're like, why do you think it's fake? He has nothing to lose. I mean, he has nothing to gain. He's rich. He's famous. He has nothing to gain. Why would he do this? It's all about virtue signaling for fame and fortune. He wanted to get bigger and more powerful. That's why this video exists, where it's all about him being the social justice warrior and knocking down the system, you know, of the white man. Let's watch this a little bit more.
They don't know why.
Pay people to hurt him so that he can be a victim, so that he can virtue signal about how horrible Trump is. And, you know, let's just listen to what's going on with his case now. So he's got a case. He's got a felony case. I wish this existed in every state, everywhere. In fact, I wish it was even deeper. I wish that whatever fake crime people were pushing on other people, that if it was fake and found to be fake and there's no doubt it was fake, that the people reporting fake crimes would get the exact punishment of what they are accusing others of doing. So if, for example, if this was some sort of hate crime or attempted murder or whatever it was that he was reporting, this assault that happened where they put a noose around his neck allegedly and, you know, bleach on him and all the rest, that whatever punishment that he would have assigned to somebody else illegitimately, that the police would put that on him or whoever's reporting a fake crime. This is rampant. It's crazy. And people wonder, well, why would they do this? What motive would it be? Yeah, you wonder, huh? It's all about fame and fortune. It's all about sympathy. It's all about, you know, there's a lot to gain by making up fake shit. Here we go. Let's listen to this.
Itself right there. And, you know, those crimes are classified as they're crimes against public justice. It is taken really seriously because it is there should absolutely be a zero tolerance for and a strong message sent when people do this, especially in the level of fabrication that we are seeing allegedly went into this. That level of pro-action and creating this entire dramatic thing and roping in other people. I mean, yes, it absolutely should have dire consequences for sure.
Juan.
So Mike Tobin's still with us, I think, Mike.
So I guess he had like Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, I believe Bernie Sanders. A lot of people spoke out about this horrendous crime that was, committed against this Jussie Smollett. So they were all, oh, this is a modern day lynching. This is what Kamala Harris and Cory Booker says. You listen to when they talk about how wrong, they were, and what's their response to this, to these charges that Jussie Smollett is getting, and they're like, I'm not sure. We need to wait till all the details come out. Yeah, they didn't wait till all the details came out to start condemning this as a crime. And before they even knew, any of the facts. They started immediately going to the virtue signal waves and broadcasting their virtuous, righteous behavior of condemning all these MAGA hat wearing racists. Let's just go to Rachel Dolezal. Actually, first of all, I have this website, Veracity Life, I wanted to talk about. And I've been working on this for a long time. I've made, a lot of different additions to my algorithm combination. I've got some software that I'm combining algorithms of lie detection and sincerity detection. And so my goal is to help people determine the sincerity of somebody else. Now, I've had many instances in my life, people coming at me with fake charges, and, I always come out on top. It's just bullshit, but... and I've talked a little bit about it. You can go to opinions.clovistar.com/self-defense, and then disruptarian.com/snitches. I'm sorry, /snitch, I believe, SNITHCH, TCH. Anyway, sorry. I'll put the link at the bottom there. And I just find it, necessary to have some kind of science, some kind of technology to sort out whether people are telling the truth or not, whether it be a presidential candidate, a local county representative running for office, a sheriff running for office, your wife or lover or husband, or your friends or your future employees, to sort out the truth so that you get a good sense on whether they're being deceptive or not. And I think there's technology that can do that. Eulerian video magnification, released by MIT, is a good source of sincerity detection. One of many algorithms I want to combine. I've got 9 of them in mind, and I've listed them here. I've put a list of them right there. So I've actually put this out there to let people know what I'm working on, in hopes that other people will pick this up and work on it too. I am so excited for people to get into this because, polygraph testing is just flunky. It's unreliable, and it would never work. I mean, I would never accept that as evidence. There's got to be a way to get closer to 99.99999%, and I think this is the way. Combining algorithms, getting an analysis and a percentage, a statistic of all of them together. This one had a 95% insincerity or sincerity. This one had 78%, and combine that and get an average. Figure out what the sincerity level is of whoever it is that you're analyzing. And I think it's sorted out a lot of crap in our society. I hate liars. I do. They're one of the most detestable things that I can think of in society, next to like a pedophile or a police informant. I mean, liars are so despicable. Now, everybody tells little white lies and does exaggerations. I'm guilty of that too. But people that live their life and they, survive with lies, like that's how they survive. That's all they've got. It's disgusting. So, let's see. I just wanted to go back to why this is so obvious to me. I've seen this so many times. I've reported on Rachel Dolezal's issue 1,000,000 times. This is another one where nooses were involved. People were threatening her with a noose and sending her, racial hate mail and whatever. And she was pretending to be black. She was the director of the NAACP in Spokane. She was pretending that her lineage was black. They'll talk about her father. The interviewer asked, well, did your father make it to your event? And she's like, no, he had cancer and he couldn't come. And she was claiming this guy in Seattle, this black guy, was her dad. And her dad's actually this white guy from Idaho. And he ended up, him and the wife of the mother of this lady, Rachel Dolezal, actually contacted the news station in Spokane to tell them, no, this girl isn't black, she's white. And these hate crimes are ridiculous. Like, she's got a history of this kind of thing. It sounds a lot like my sister, quite honestly. Let me just play you this.
Address for me, but were mailed from Oakland, California. And so, 2 pieces mailed from Oakland and 1 piece of mail that got dropped off at the post office. Again, it seems highly unlikely that an individual that had a key could have been at 2 places at once or would have flown to Oakland to mail those last 2 pieces. I think that's kind of reaching. So,
were any of those other letters from Oakland, did any of those end up in the P.O. box, your P.O. box up there?
No. In fact, we had a mail forwarding process where if mail would go to the P.O. box, because that box was closed down after the first incident, it would be sent to the Main Street address but the piece of mail actually got delivered directly, was addressed to 25 West Main Suite 239. And the postal worker that delivered it, I had a conversation with him, and he said that it looked suspicious, and he kind of wondered about putting it in a box, but he went ahead and did it anyway, and asked me if in the future, if he sees something that looks like that again, if he should just keep it at the post office. And I said, please do. And he said he'll do that and then put just a note in our box that they got a suspicious piece of mail.
There have been other hate crimes committed against you and your family that have not resulted in an arrest. Do you think that the police department is trying hard enough to get to the bottom of who's terrorizing you?
I'm not sure, and when it comes to the formality of deciding what a hate crime is, I really tried to let the police make that decision. So in the case of the mail, I called Crime Check, not 911, and described what happened, and they said, this is a hate crime, we're dispatching an officer to you to pick up the evidence. In the situation, one of the situations in North Idaho where my 2 sons were out in the garden and saw a noose hanging from the rafters, or what looked like a noose of rope that hadn't been there prior. The officers came and they actually listed that as a hate crime toward me and my sons at that particular point. And so, I really don't want to speculate on what which particular incidents have been hate crimes and by who, because certainly there's been no conclusion in any of these incidents that have resulted in a suspect, and that is highly frustrating. It's been a stretch of years, and certainly no small amount of stress for my kids as well as myself. So I would love to live in a world where hate crimes didn't exist, and I could assure my children that we're safe and nothing will happen in the future.
I guess with regard to the noose on the rafters, that turned out not to be a noose later on.
I don't know that that's been concluded.
It's actually a rope that was used to hang up a fella's deer whenever he killed deer.
Well, I read that in your article, but that was never told to me at the time. And in fact, when we moved into that particular house, that rope was not there. My sons discovered it that morning when they were picking strawberries in the little raised beds. So, people will go to all kind of lengths to minimize or discount or undermine stories. I certainly don't believe that there's conclusive evidence that was not put there, to intimidate or harass, and that certainly wasn't the first appearance of a noose at a residence that we lived at. So
that was one of 8 times that you had problems. You were victims of a hate crime in North Idaho.
8 times. See, that's what I'm saying, is that after the first, second, third, okay, well maybe, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times that it's the same thing over and over. It's like these really ugly chicks that, just are not desirable whatsoever. Maybe they got horse teeth, maybe they got big Mormon foreheads, I don't know, whatever it is, like this chick's got, that maybe, after 5 or 6 or 7 accusations of rape, people start looking into it like, I don't know, why do they like to rape you? With all the, produce out there, why do they go after you 8 times? People can go through their whole life, never even have a close encounter with rape, but then you get raped 8 times and you look like a horse. I mean, it gets really, really ridiculous. But anyway, I'll play you the rest of this. It's pretty funny.
Again, whether I don't know that it's 8 hate crimes decided by the police, but there were 8 incidents where we were harassed. Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that. You were the first to notice, hey, there's no canceled stamps on this envelope that was up in the P.O. box. There's no barcode. You kind of knew right off the bat that this probably didn't come through the mail. Mm-hmm. And so when you hear it comes down, they kind of exonerated the postal employees that put it in there. And
right.
Now it's kind of like a key holder thing. If somebody said, God, if it's a key holder and there's only a couple of people have the keys, maybe one of the key holders did it.
Well, again, I don't have any reason to believe that. And I actually wasn't the first person to notice that. One of my friends who came over to the house to kind of be supportive right after I received the mail, I posted something on Facebook, like, don't know what everybody else got in their mail today, but I'm really shaken up by this particular package. And some of my friends said, we want to come over. And so one of my friends, Tanya, came over, and at that point, when the officer arrived, he was looking at it, and she's like, that doesn't have a stamp on it. In fact, if you look at it, there's no barcode, and so she's the one that first noticed that, but certainly it was noticed prior to the investigation.
If people hear that you have a key and they know that you've been victimized before, what would you say to the folks that say maybe you put that letter in there because you were one of the people that have the keys to do so?
Good question. I like when interviewers use good questions in their interviews. That one seemed pretty obvious to me, right? I mean, out of all questions to ask, that one seemed pretty obvious.
I don't know that I even have any words for that, because as a mother of 2 black sons, I would never terrorize my children, and I don't know any mother personally that would trump up or fabricate something that severe that would affect her kids. My son had slept for 2 weeks in my bed after we received that particular package, and he's 13 years old. That's the kind of terror that I, as a mother, and my son, as a black male, 13-year-old in Spokane, never needs to experience.
See, and this is where I call it Munchausen syndrome, or Munchausen syndrome by proxy. They make their children victims so that they can be, the protector, the good guy, the hero. And my mother's much like this. She, makes up fake things to, talk about from history so that she can pretend that she's defended her children and done the best she can to fend off all of the bad guys. She's got a kid who's, 35 years old and has never lived on his own his whole life. He's 35 years old. He's lived at home for 35 years. He's on my mom's teat, like he'll never leave. And this is what, these women make of children, especially single mothers, that, they make these kids into suckling little babies for the rest of their life. That's one problem I have with single motherhood. I respect single mothers. They do a really hard job. My grandma was a single mother. She raised me, a good portion of my life, and I have 100% respect for my grandma, and she did right by everybody she had an encounter with. She loved people. She loved her grandkids. She loved her kids, even though they were terrible to her, but they were loved by her. So I don't have anything, specifically wrong with single mothers, but a lot of the times, they do things like this to their kids so that they can pretend to be the hero. So let's just watch the rest of this. This gets funnier.
And the slightest implication that I would perpetrate terror toward my kids is at best offensive, but I don't know how that would be a.
See how emotional she gets? I mean, she's one hell of an actor. She and Jussie Smollett should start a new show together. You know, or they should be anchors on CNN. They should be news anchors.
Conscionable statement that anybody could live with or believe.
And Rachel, despite these threats that started many years ago, you continue to go out and fight for equality and civil rights, and you're not going to be scared off from doing this.
No, I'm not. I'm not. This is something that I've actually cared about since I was a young child, and I've been involved with social justice work since middle school, high school, college. It's part of my life work. So, you know, some people might think that it actually, you know, I've heard people say something about, oh, well, you get publicity from these hate crimes, and I think that's very sick as well, because that's not the kind of publicity anybody wants, is publicity.
It's what you want, Rachel. It's what a lot of these women and especially these oppressed groups, these minority groups, they want it so bad they can taste it. Look at Jussie Smollett.
Of a negative and terrorizing scenario, especially death threats and photos of lynchings. And as a Black Studies professor, I know what these images mean and take them very seriously given the history of racism in the United States.
Speaking of that, did your dad ever make it to Spokane in January for the ribbon cutting?
No, actually, he has unfortunately has bone cancer and was not able to get cleared for surgery, and so.
God, that sounds like a terrible break for you. I'm sure that he would have been very proud of you. Is that your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad.
This man right here is your father? Right there?
You have a question about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was wondering if your dad really is an African American man.
That's a very. I mean, I don't know what you're implying.
Are you?
What it is that she's been claiming this guy from Seattle, this old man, he's in his 80s, is her father, and he's this black man, you know, like, you know, not mixed at all. He's a very dark black man, and this was her father, and her mother's supposedly white, but her father's black, and anyway, that's why he asked this question.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question of. I did tell you that. Yes. I don't know what you're implying.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question of.
So the question comes from, she's the director of the NAACP in Spokane at this point. She got fired later, but she was the director of the NAACP, and she had claimed to be black, and you can see she spends a lot of time on her makeup and, you know, her fake tan and her kinky hair. She does a lot of work in the morning to, you know, give this essence of her blackness, of her African American heritage, but that's why he's asking.
Did tell you that, yes, that's my dad, and he was unable to come in January.
Are your parents, are they white?
I address.
So anyway, that's just how easy it is these days. I mean, you want fame, you want fortune, you want sympathy. Claim somebody has abused you. Claim you've had a hate crime waged on you. Claim some bullshit. That's the society we're in these days, and people get away with it. But I think they need to increase the laws against fake police reports and fake crime reports or whatever. And if someone's going to accuse another person of a fake crime, even if that person is ambiguous and they don't know who it is, if they're out there wasting police time, police resources, taxpayer money, they should receive the same exact punishment that they would have doled out to somebody else, you know, accusing them of these fake crimes. It's bizarre where we're at in the world today. But yeah, this Jussie Smollett guy, I mean, he's going the distance to virtue signal. Everything he does is, I'm going to fight for you. I'm oppressed too, but I'm strong and I'm going to come up. I'm going to fight for you. I'm the gay Tupac is what he said. He out of his fucking mind. And same with most of these liberals out there, especially the ones that were out touting belief in this, the news anchors, the politicians, Congress people, whatever. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. This was easy to see through. You can look at my media all the way back just 2 days after he reported this as a crime. I found out on January 31st, and I immediately said this was fake. I knew this. I don't usually go out on that kind of a limb, but I did with this one. It was definitely fake. I had no doubt. Anyway, peace out. Check us out on disruptarian.com, and we'll have our Saturday show at 4:20 p.m. Hawaiian time. So I believe that's the 23rd of February at 4:20 p.m. Hawaiian time. Irie time, baby. Come check us out. Peace.